Delighted to welcome back as a member of the Shadow Cabinet, the new Shadow Housing Secretary, James Cleverly. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
How long has this been in the work, the return to the front bench?
Well, the Chief Whip does the usual process of checking your appetite, or checking my appetite for a return to the front bench. And after the leadership campaign and the general election and two quite challenging jobs in government, I needed a bit of a breather. But this Labour government is getting things so badly wrong so quickly that I thought, well, I can't and won't be a spectator to this. I want to get involved in holding them to account and putting forward credible alternative propositions. And so when Kemi spoke to me over the weekend, I bit a hand off, obviously.
So it's as recent as this weekend that you started to be sounded
in detail. Off. Well, no, the Chief Whip was speaking to me a week or so back.
Still, that's quite recent as opposed to weeks and months. Interesting to hear that. Shadow housing surprised some people for a former Foreign Secretary, former Home Secretary, but equally it means you're shadowing the Deputy Prime Minister. Do you see yourself as the deputy leader to Kemi Badenoch of the Conservatives?
Kemi's made it very, very clear that she doesn't have a formal deputy. And I think in opposition...
An informal deputy?
No. In opposition, that makes perfect sense. And to be honest with you, the Deputy Prime Minister is more of a job title than an actual job. And Angela Rayner has been very good at outmanoeuvring Keir Starmer and acquiring authority through her whole time as deputy leader of the Labour Party. We run a very different system. We do not have an elected deputy leader, and Kemi, I think, is right not to do that. But housing and communities and local government, I think, are incredibly important. And I said during the leadership campaign, I've said since, when young people tell us over and over again that they do not believe they have a credible chance of getting on a housing ladder, as Conservatives, the party of home owners, the party of Macmillan, the party of Thatcher, we have got to respond to that. I think it's an incredibly important issue and will be increasingly important over the next few years. And I want to make sure that we have a credible plan to deliver on those homes.
I mean, I guess not many people would disagree with that need for more homes. And having had 14 years in government, I'm sure you'd say, you wish more could have been built during that period of time. Why is it that it's so hard to build in this country over decades, putting aside party politics?
I think a number of things. I think we've allowed the process to be incredibly expensive and bureaucratic. I think we've allowed an excessive consolidation of the home building market. I think through, as I say, the cost and bureaucracy of doing this, smaller house builders have been squeezed out of the sector. And I think the other big challenge is that we haven't really made the case, the beneficial case for communities to have a modest amount of new housing. And sadly, the Labour Party set about making it considerably worse. Let's take London, for example, city of around 10 million people, that has been estimated to need about 80,000 houses built a year. And new starts in the first quarter of this year, 1,210. That's about 5.5% of the total needed. That is woeful because the mayor is asleep at the wheel and the Labour government is letting him get away with it.
Well, I mean, clearly there's a big planning bill going through Parliament, which I guess didn't happen during the last government. I want to touch on some other comments that your opponent in the Cabinet, Angela Rayner, has said of late, and that is that she sees the country fraying at the edges. This has been reported from a Cabinet readout yesterday, and that a big part of that's down to immigration. Is that something you agree with her on? Or
I think she makes a very good point. And I think she's echoed things that Conservatives have said for a while. I think it rings a bit hollow when, she was one of the people that took the knee during the BLM protests. She, the Labour Party, the Prime Minister have jumped on every bandwagon that's come along, and they have spent so much time seeming to be on the side of the people who don't play by the rules, who jump the queue, who abuse the system. And now that they're in government, she is saying, oh, well, I think, society is fracturing, seemingly blind to the role the Labour Party have played in driving wedges between communities. And factionalisation, unfortunately, has been a watchword of Labour in local government and also in national government. So, yes, we all collectively need to do something about it. And a good start would be for the Labour Party to say, you know what? There is one set of rules in the UK, one set of laws, and everyone abides by them, and everyone is expected to abide by them, rather than this two-tier system that we've seen almost as soon as they took office.
But I mean, isn't there one legal system that applies to everyone? The same one that applies?
Well, there should be. I mean, there is. There is. But we saw with the rape gangs scandal, we saw Labour voices for years basically turning a blind eye to this for fear of accusations of racism. And the rules should be simple. People that rape and abuse young girls should be brought to justice, and people should move heaven and earth to make that happen. And yet what we saw for an extended period of time is people not doing that because of fear of accusations of racism.
I mean, I'm amazed that we've come to this topic so quickly into your return to the housing
key.
brief.
No, it's not about housing. It's the communities. It's a communities brief.
So
and community cohesion is really, really key.
If that is a legitimate criticism, you must therefore hold your hands up and wish that as Home Secretary you called for a national statutory inquiry, as has now happened under the Labour government when you were Home Secretary and you failed to do so.
Well, as soon as I was appointed as Home Secretary, one of the first meetings I had was with the author of the Angelini report. I made the protection of women and girls an absolute priority. I would have liked more time as Home Secretary to drive these things through, but this was something I took incredibly seriously.
Do you regret not going further faster?
Well, I think what we've seen in the Labour Party is the work that we started, despite all their rhetoric and their criticism of me for not moving faster as Home Secretary. As soon as they took the reins, they slowed down even further. And it was Kemi Badenoch and the Conservatives that forced them into taking action. So I would love to have done more. I would have loved to have had more time. But the Labour Party in government started to reverse. Not only did they fail to move forward, they started to move backwards. And it took Conservatives to hold their feet to the fire and actually get this taken seriously as an issue by them.
I know we're out of time, Mr Cleverly, but so my final question is, as we sit here right now, will Kemi Badenoch be the next Prime Minister?
Yeah, I think that increasingly, when people realise that the Conservatives are the only party in Parliament that take the economic situation seriously, that take our defence situation seriously, and that actually have a plan to reduce public spending, reduce the tax burden and unlock the economy, I think they will reward us at the ballot box and we'll see Kemi Badenoch go through the door at number 10.
James Cleverly, good to see you. Thanks so much for joining us.